Okay, I'm back. We are live streaming again for pretty much no reason at all other than we can. And that's a good enough reason right there. I guess next week it's going to start getting warm. It was really kind of a bad spring season in terms of planning shit. A lot of rain and a lot of late freezes that really delayed everything, which is going to be interesting because it appears like corn crops just went in. For those of you that aren't familiar with, corn and bean, it's like corn and bean is like a major export for the United States. And corn just went in, and at least where I'm at, I'm assuming it's like that in a lot of places, and it's kind of it's a little later, and that can affect if it's not an ideal season, then that can affect the yield, which is going to kind of line up with the recession that's coming up, quote unquote recession, right? If you want to call it that. Abdul asked, how is music making? Well, what I'll probably do, it's like I'm making this stream now, this week, because I'm just driving around, for a while, and I have, otherwise I'd just be staring at the road, so I figure I might as well stream. But, if I'm not doing this, I'll probably start working on music, so there'll probably be less streams, this weekend and the next weekend, while I really turn my focus on the music to try to work on some shit. It usually takes, I don't know, I mean, when I'm trying to make music, I spend a lot of time in it. I don't know if people that write music do that, but like when I write music, it's like an experience for myself. Like I'm listening to it also. Like some people, I've worked with musicians and stuff. I've been in bands and stuff since I was like a kid, or like just playing instruments and music with people. And a lot of people write music like, there's some people that can write music really quickly, like they just hammer out some notation and then they're like good to go, you know what I mean? And they just modify like one thing here or there. And that's not really, I mean, I can do that, but it's not really like the way that I naturally work. I'm more of like I'm in the song and like listening to the song as a listener while I make it, and I'm, experiencing it too, while making it, you know what I mean? And then my brain kind of like has to go back and forth between the two. And like sometimes when I'm making music, if it's like something that I really like, I'll get lost in the song and just have it like in a, depending on the song, of course, but like, I've got like some of the music I write is like a half hour, you know what I mean? Not for release, just for like me, just like making music. And I'll get on like a looped section of it that's like, a 3-minute section or something, and then it'll just loop, and then I'm just like, and then I'll be like, wait, I've just been sitting here for like a half hour listening to this loop because I like it, which isn't very efficient, but that's just kind of the way that I do it. And it's also really slow because I make music that way, for like my own enjoyment, or like my own, it's like an experiential thing, right? Like I'm like experiencing music. And so like a lot of times I'll work on it multiple tracks at one time, and so I'll work on a track for like an hour or half hour or whatever, and then switch to a different track, and then switch to a different track, and then go back to the first one, and then do another half hour. And I like doing that because it gives you fresh ears, in terms of your perception, so you don't get tied up into, like if you listen to something over and over again, it changes the way that you hear it. And so I like to switch it up to clear your perceptual memory, like clear the cache, right? And then get fresh ears on it, and then see what you want to change, because it's usually a lot more effective in terms of getting the right hook or whatever, or getting the exact right tonal combination when you do it like that, for me. This guy says he drinks his bong water sometimes, and just says, "Do you really drink bong water?" Sesh. Do you guys ever listen to like Bones, when Bones was doing stuff? He's pretty wild. It's like rap is like the weirdest thing, right? Because like I do like rap, but I don't like it in the way that it's consumed as a like a social engineering intention. Like that's like what like rap is obviously really prevalent because it's like destabilizing. It's just like the most contrasted with society to destabilize, and that's why the music industry has really shifted to it. But in that, there's a certain like you get, and it totally depends on the artist. Like if it's a really materialistic artist, it's pretty it's weird. It's like a continual spectrum. Like on one hand, it's like if they're really really materialistic, then it's like it's dry. Like if they're just I don't know how to describe it. Like if they're in the money, if they're like rolling in the dough and like doing really well, then it comes out and makes their music really sterile. But then if you get rap artists that are like, they're completely fixated on like materialism, but it's something that they can't attain, so it brings out their inner struggle, and then it gets expressed in the music, and it's really good. Like the like Project Pat. I always like Project Pat because it's just so, I mean, it's almost like an alien world to me. Like I'm not, I don't really think in the same way, but it's fun to listen to because it's like a genuine expression, and that's just who he is. You know what I mean? Like that's just his world as he sees it. And so in that regard, I like rap, but I don't like rap as a social engineering destabilization project on society. Like I think that's pretty despicable. And but like Bones, I enjoy Bones, like his older stuff, like when he was first coming up. I like I enjoyed Night Level, like some of early Night Level stuff. It was interesting. But I do think that all of them are kind of like, I don't know. I always get the sense that they make a little bit of money, and then they just start looking to other people to get cute. They start asking society like, what do you want to hear that's going to make me more money? Like make me more successful, and that's when their music like really tanks. Because they're no longer tapped into their drive. Yeah, so this guy Rinfar says rap is used to normalize degeneracy and erode societal values. I think I covered that, right? Like, so you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, okay. So it's like, like basically, I mean, if you're really being honest about considering the genre of rap, like, you've got to look at it like, you obviously you can't discount what you said, right? Because that's like a huge, like if you're not aware of that, then it's like you're probably gonna have difficulty critically like listening to it anyway, to get whatever is good out of it. But it's almost like how do I describe it? It's almost like the beauty of like like something that's really violent and destructive. You know what I mean? Like a tornado or something. You know, it's almost like that. It's like, but if you only look at it in a consumptive way, then it's like you're not really able to see that, it seems, as a listener, you know. But at its basic level, the rap music is it's just like it's like elementary notation and a lot of use of like syncopation and shit, and it's typically pretty, not all. I mean, there's some interesting rap composition out there, for sure. It's less popular. Like most of the time, a lot of the rap music, I would imagine if you took like the top 10 of like rap songs for like a decade or something, or maybe like 5 years, and then you overlaid them in audio wave files, I think you would notice like extreme crossover, where it was like a lot of the songs would just be able to interlace probably and be played at the same time and even work, like in terms of tempo and measure. A lot of the stuff like in like with EDM and rap, electronic music production, there's like a lot of people that get really into the like the 808s and the kicks and stuff in production, and really nerd out on it. And it goes back to everything else. It's like the power of whatever instrument you want to make come through is entirely based on its relative contrast against all of the other things in the song. You know what I mean? So like you can take, like when you're making music, if you want, like you can take something that seems like a really meek sound and then make it really powerful by altering everything else. You know what I mean? I don't just mean like turning the sound down. I mean like by squeezing certain frequencies, so that you're getting a lot of space for the thing that you want to be loud, and then even though it's at the same level, because everything else is less expressed, it makes that more expressed. And that's just another example of the greater concept of contrast that's viewed in all of actuality. It's like the mechanism of it. It's the mechanic of existence. It's the way that all things are constructed, or rendered rather. And and like video is almost entirely editing, if you didn't know that. Like at least in terms of like audience interest, right? Like people that get into video production, whether it's like commercial video production or expressive video production, just for like the sake of like what you're showing artistically, it's all about editing in terms of like the impact and effect. Like the reason, like I always liked for example, like a big screen movies, like mainstream movies. I always really liked, like one of my favorite recent ones was No Country, and that's entirely the entire reason that movie is so good is because of editing. You know what I mean? I mean, the story is cool, but you could have really fucked that up if you weren't like a super talented fucking editor. And I'd imagine that the editor that edited that film was also the one that had the vision that took it from a book to a movie, and that's why you get such good transmission of something. And it almost always ends up being different than what you intend. Like it's very difficult to produce exactly what's in your mind. So typically like you attempt to do so and you put a lot of work in it, and then it's still going to be a little bit different, but it's like good enough. It's like close enough to get your point across. And then when somebody who doesn't have your initial doesn't have any, like the general public won't have any idea of whatever you had in your head, obviously. And so they're like, when they see it, they have no, you know, understanding of it until they see it in real time, and then it's just like, whoa, you know, if you express well, right? But all of that is about editing. It doesn't really have to do, it really has very little to do with like your camera or your you know, I mean, I guess dialogue, like if you're doing a dialogue based production, that's important, right? Like the expressive believability of a character. But or maybe not even the scene, right? Like you could really do it like in a white room, as long as it was you were communicating what you were trying to communicate, and then the entire effect comes out of editing. So like, in my opinion, editors are really underrated in terms of making quality film. It's becoming less, you know, like, I mean, with the quality of movies nowadays, it's becoming much less of a, you know, they're not really about expression as much anymore, so that's not as important. But there are some good editors out there. And it's really fun, like I always enjoyed Incarnicon making the productions, especially the complex ones. I always wanted to take Carnicon into full-blown sketch comedy and just do like ultra challenging sketch comedy that just like eviscerated the problems with society, just like really challenged them and caused a lot of ruckus. And but in an effective way, you know, like there's a lot of, like I like, people have asked me about like Sam Hyde and stuff, and I really like Sam Hyde because he doesn't, he's very, you know what I mean? He's like no boundary, you know, in a sense. I mean, he does have boundary. He does have certain boundaries, but he really likes to test them, and that's a good thing. But I also feel like, you know, if I could be critical in some way of it, like there's a very, you know, he has difficulty holding the point of like what he's trying to express sometimes. But some of his stuff is very effective. But it's always fun making productions and having the concept in your mind, and then like organizing the entire thing and having to shoot it, especially when it gets complex, because you have to do everything out of sequence for efficiency. And then all the people involved have no idea of the vision, you know what I mean? Like, you know, so if you were doing like a serious film that had like a lot of dialogue and character interaction, then it'd be extremely important for the people acting to know who the fuck they're supposed to be. But, you know, in terms of the actual you know, in terms of actually like filming it, the production, like most of the time people really don't know what it's going to look like at all, you know. And then you go and assemble it with editing, and then it just, this like magic gets created, you know. And then if you did a good job of expressing something close to your original vision, then it's usually people even if they didn't think that they were going to like it, end up liking it, right? Yeah, I mean, I would totally do sketch comedy, but my thing was like the Carnicon, like what really made me not want to do a ton of more Carnicon is that it's like limited in audience, and it's limited in because it's like centered around my own personal experience, which is very narrow compared to society, you know, because like military is like a niche perspective. And so like I you know, what really drove me to do Carnicon was the challenging aspect of it, like challenging and disrupting society, you know, like in term, and I was doing that in the niche of, you know, where like my world, where I come from, you know, which is like what I saw. But then like as I grew older, you know, and learned things, then I, you know, and see the world more, it's like I realize that it's just completely inadequate, and it's something that needs to be done like everywhere, everywhere. And that was like the traditional role of comedy, but it's become so consolidated and censored that you don't really have that now. Like Saturday Night Live, for example. I was talking about that the other day. Saturday Night Live used to be like really funny. Yeah, I mean sometimes like they definitely had some bits back in the day, like in the 80s and 90s, that were really well put together. They were like really good expressions. And then like nowadays, Saturday Night Live is like, I mean, I don't even know what the fuck, how you would describe it. It's like a fucking, like an East German TV show. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't have, it's entirely sterile with no soul. And it's just not, it's a very I feel like when I watch it, it feels like I'm just like watching a video of somebody in handcuffs. My favorite Carnicon episode was probably the I don't know, it's tough to say. I liked I don't know. Oh, I liked Hand Signals. I thought that was fun. I liked the that was just like a parody of that practical guy on YouTube. I just like watched this video and I was like, wow, I can't believe this guy's serious, and I made a parody of it. But okay, I gotta go, guys. I will catch you later. Have fun. Love you.